thought maybe you were going to start reading my speech.
No, that's
well, we have Senator Jim Carlson is here. I'd like to recognize him. Any other elected officials that we have not recognized? And you know, that's it. You're always safe with elected officials because I've noticed they are not shy. If they're in the House and they're going to get recognition, they're out there.
But John Benson's wife and my brother are here.
Well, so, you know, they told me the honor spot of speaking is at the very end, but I got to tell you, it's the scariest spot, right? Because I have to follow all these great speakers. I'm keeping you from the food that I know we can all smell out there, and also I say thank yous here. And you can never thank people enough, and probably the scariest part of thank yous is what if I forget somebody. So I have a list here, and I'm actually going to follow, but I will be quick. The person who probably, in my opinion, never gets enough thanks is my husband, Craig. Yes. I'm going to assume he's here somewhere.
He's in the bar.
Charles said he left an hour ago. For those of you who have run, I know you know this, and for those of you who have not, when you run for office, it is a family affair. It takes over your lives, and if you're like me, if I'm thinking about something, it is all I talk about as I'm trying to work things through. I had to, whoever said something about noticing the nuances, I thought, oh, I bet my husband's snickering about that. Because I'm always thinking, well, what about this? What about that? What about this angle? The other thing about my husband is, if you don't know this, when people are out door knocking, we keep stats of how many houses, what people said, you know, what conversion rates were, all this stuff. I know it's inside secrets, but be out there with it. But it was so funny because Craig, my husband, is our #1 door knocker. I think I'm #2, honestly, I mean that. And when I go door knocking, if it's a house where he had already been, Senator Ann Rest is here, thank you. This is the longest thank you, I promise. We'll go quick after this. But it was fascinating to me because the door where my husband had already been, and I knock, and they come out and they say, oh, you have the most wonderful husband, and they just go on and on about my husband. And I kind of get shy, and I said, well, you know, I'm kind of not half bad either. But, so, thank you, more than I can ever say. And as Art said the other day, you should just tell them you're getting a twofer. So, and then my team, I cannot address every person name by name, but we, honest to goodness, have a team that is talked about throughout the state, and there is up to 100 people. And if you are on the team or consider yourself part of the team, just raise your hand and give yourselves an applause. Everyone can applause. Thank you to Art for, he just came on board a week or 2 ago, and look at, he's already emceeing and stuff, so he's been thrown into this, he's doing a great job, he's a very talented person, happy to have him on the team. Jeff and Lori Wilford, thank you. Oh, darn it, every time I talk about you guys, I start choking up. Jeff and Lori Wilford, thank you so much for being here tonight. It means more to me than I can put into words, and the fact that you have taken a tragic loss and made it into a nationwide advocacy is amazing. I don't know how many times Jeff and I have had coffee, but it's always been a very deep and meaningful experience for me, and something that I think about for days afterwards. Of course, Anthony Wheelahan and Tim Henning for opening up their home, sharing Anthony's art. This is actually a home art studio, so you are, yes, in their home, but you're also in this gorgeous studio. So thanks for sharing your art, Anthony, for Tim's wonderful food, but also for being great neighbors. And I don't know if you know this, but this neighborhood was one of the inspirations that made me decide to run for office, because I looked at our 2 cul-de-sacs that are connected. We have, in our 2 cul-de-sacs, every walk of life and every political spectrum you can imagine. And it amazes me. And I sit there and I think, this is Plymouth, Minnesota. And I won't list all the walks of life, but just everyone. And we all know each other. We all get along for the most part. We all get along. We all watch out for one another, no matter what. If it's a staunch Democrat or a Tea Partier, we will call and say, hey, there's a strange truck in your driveway, are you home? All right, so it is an amazing neighborhood. Elected officials, obviously thanks to all of you. My personal thanks, but I also think we can all thank you for your public service, which has been outstanding. And I am my personal thank you for your time tonight, but your advice and your friendships, and I am truly amazed to be in your company. And every time we talk, it's an experience. Okay, that's not my speech. Now I'm going to say a few words. Hubert Humphrey was my 3rd grade hero. And if you think that's weird, I do too. Because I looked back and I thought, why would a 3rd grader have this hero? And my mom and I had lots of talks about that. She's an amazing campaign worker as well on my team. And I'll never forget, we could do a speech on anything we wanted. It actually was a paper, you get up there and you read it. And people are talking about how to water plants and how to pet or how to brush your dog. And I got up there and I talked about Hubert Humphrey. And when I looked up, everyone was just had this scrunchy look on their face, like, what the heck? I'm sure most of you know about his famous civil rights speech, and no, I wasn't around then. I listened to it. He was told, don't talk about civil rights, it is too early, do not do that. Everyone was advising of this, and he got up and he gave that speech, and he said, not only am I not too early, I'm 170 years too late. And who would have thought in 2011 that we would still be talking about equal rights? I am just dumbfounded by that. So I want to tell you something. I know in this very room we can disagree about the science, moral implications, religious issues, but we have to and we can all agree on public policy. Because it is very simple. It is the duty of every elected official to uphold and protect equal rights for all U.S. citizens, period. We absolutely... Anything else is a dereliction of duty, it is unconstitutional, and it is just wrong. And let me add one more thing to that. It is a slippery slope. If anybody thinks you can send someone to office and say, uphold my rights, but take away the rights of my neighbor. Because guess what? If they take away the rights of your neighbor, one day they'll be knocking at your door to take your rights away too. So I ask you, no matter how you personally feel about this issue, have all those debates, have all those talks, but it does not belong in the public policy arena. Someone told me, now I gotta tell you, here's my Hubert Humphrey connection. Someone told me, Audrey, this is not an issue in your district. Do not bring it up. And I got to tell you, it is an issue in every district, at every door, in every state throughout this nation. My team and I knocked on 19,000 doors, and we know exactly what issues are in people's mind. Now guess what? Equal rights wasn't on everyone's mind because we were told this is not about social issues. We're not going to talk about social issues, so of course no one brought it up. In Plymouth and Medicine Lake, education, number 1, jobs in the economy, number 2, 3, fiscal responsibility tied with the environment. So most of these issues are intertwined. I'll go through these as quick as I can. In education, every reputable economist agrees, and many Minnesota surveys have confirmed, that an educated population leads to a healthy economy. There is no doubt about that, and business leaders, whether they've talked to me directly or be out in the public, they say that an educated workforce ranks amongst their greatest needs. One of the best return on investments for our tax dollars is education. Education helps individuals reach their full potential, and then obviously they're more likely to become contributing members of society. So obviously we need to fully fund education, support our teachers, and of course build in efficiencies. Jobs in the economy. Do you know that in Minnesota we have more Fortune 500s than any state, more Fortune 500s per capita than any state in America? So Minnesota is a good place to do business, no matter what you hear in the media and what you hear from some talking heads. So we want to embrace our Fortune 500s. However, more people are employed by small businesses than all the Fortune 500s combined. Our job creators are the small businesses. And one other stat, I'm throwing this out there because I know we hear these arguments, the vast majority of small business owners earn less than $100,000. So when you hear about the wealthy being the job creators and the Fortune 500s being the job creators, in Minnesota we have almost 500,000 small business owners, and that doesn't include the 360,000 self-employed people. Lastly, fiscal responsibility. Those who work inside and outside of government have told me, you know, we could spend our tax dollars more wisely. And it has that kind of anti-government slant to it. But I gotta tell you, it's in every area of life, right? I used to lead spend reduction programs in Fortune 500s. You want to see waste and inefficiency? It's there. I mean, one of my favorite stories is we had a higher up in the organization would rent the 3 hotel rooms above him, the 2 beside him, and the 3 below him, so he would have a quiet night's rest. You know, this is a guy who goes to hop on a 20-person corporate jet to go home for the weekend. 1 person on that jet. That's a small microcosm, but I'm just saying, yes, there's inefficiencies in government. There's inefficiency probably in most everyone's household, and there's inefficiencies in our Fortune 500s as well. But my point is that we need fiscal responsibility. It starts at the top, and one of the greatest things is a vision for our state, which will help produce top priorities, and then you base your budget on those priorities. The other thing we need is to be more outcome-based. So when you say, I'm going to fund this program, don't just measure the return on the investment, but know what the expectation of that return on investment is in the beginning. Oh, and then anyone who knows me knows I'm going to bring this up, $23 billion in tax expenditures. We have $23 billion in tax expenditures, which I won't go into explaining exactly what that is, but the point is if somebody says we have a $34 billion budget, like we're all told, there's $23 billion that we don't really track and account for. There's not a real return on investment measurement for that. That is something I would be more than happy to look at when I get elected. So we actually have a $57 billion budget. For those of you who have visited the bar several times, sorry I'm throwing these numbers out there, but it's just something I feel we really need to take a look at. So one of the best things we can do is ensure the heads of our departments are directly accountable for spend reduction, efficiency, and effectiveness. And it seems to me the legislature is really good at saying, here's your budget, back into it, and I think it actually needs to be turned around quite a bit. So, I know I'm going to skip over some things here. Just in conclusion, the political climate is bad. We all know that. One of the other things I am told quite often is, oh my gosh, are you silly? Do not go run for office. Don't go down there. You don't want to be there. And, you know, we can't give up. If not me, if not you, if not being on the team, then who? And the worst time to give up is when things get tough. So we all need to work together and make Minnesota the state that works again. How many remember that slogan? When I was a kid, I think it was on the cover of Time or something. And anyone who knows me knows that when it comes to fighting the good fight, I do not give up, but I can't do it alone. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I was really rushing. You know, we forgot to say something. Anthony will give art tours after we eat, I believe. Just one. So if you're interested, see Anthony, he'll walk you through you know, the thing about his artwork, the amazing thing, other than just they're amazing, Tony, is the stories behind it. So if you don't go on his art tour, just grab him at some point and ask him to tell you some of the stories behind this. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. It means a lot to me, and hopefully it'll mean a lot to our future as well.
Eat.